Alright, here I am back in Oxygen Not Included to do a little bit of voiceover for... And I'm starting to notice that if I don't have my mic live, I can't actually scroll and interact using my push-to-talk key. Anyways, here I am to describe a little bit of what's been accomplished so far. And I think the overview I was giving earlier was here's all the apartments with their personalized showers. Not that there's anything private about it. Don't mind sounds in the background. We have 2 farms set up. Okay, it just needed to go a little bit. The game had to advance to remind itself. There. That should update all the conditions. We have a mealwood farm, making tasty lice into lice loaves at the microbe musher. And then we have some bristle blossom farm as well. And they're being fried up at the grill. So we have quite a surplus of food. Some leftover mush fries from before, some fried mushrooms that we got in a care package. Some lettuce we found, and then the bristle blossoms turn into gristleberries, and then the lice loaves that we're squeezing out. Got a grand haul, nice and great place to eat, very good for the duplicants' attitudes. We have our freezer, which isn't really a freezer. I mean, it's 24 degrees Celsius, 20 degrees Celsius. But it's in carbon dioxide, which is a sterile atmosphere for the food, so it doesn't go to waste. We've got 2 gas reservoirs full up on chlorine gas. I've got to decide whether I want to build a 3rd one or not. Kind of our carbon dioxide area. Carbon skimmer. Pull out carbon dioxide if we need to, but usually I count on the algae terrariums to do that. Our algae distiller, which takes any slime we find, which usually has slime lung disease all over it. And that squeezes out new algae. No reason not to be moving time right now. Our air filtration for the this one here for bringing out the chlorine and moving the carbon dioxide over here. Realized I wasn't talking. I'm just going to deal with the background noise so I can scroll freely and not forget. Where I was letting off at, the filtration system, chlorine going over to the tanks, carbon dioxide going over to the freezer and over to our carbon sequestration area. All this new fresh oxygen coming from our electrolyzer, taking water from the tanks. See, all the water is coming from here. Kind of follows this path, goes to the farms, goes to the distiller or electrolyzer, and then to all the showers. And that produces a whole bunch of oxygen for us, and then any hydrogen ends up in our hydrogen pump or into this little room, which is kind of an idea I had to set up a bunch of Weezeworts to pre-cool a lot of the hydrogen. That's not really that necessary. The hydrogen we're going to end up using in this radiator as part of an oxygen condenser, along with our thermoregulators up here. And I'll come up with a whole system for that. And then our farms are liquid cooled using the freshwater system. It actually comes up and around. So yeah, down here, up, across this bridge, into these thermoregulators that are sitting in our dirty water. overheated? Or overheated. It's doused in water. Anyways, it spits out some ultra cold water that goes down these orange pipes all the way to these radiant pipes that cool off the farms to keep them at a temperature that's reasonable. All that water recombines up to here to this sensor, which detects if the temperature is below 20 degrees. That is not negative 273 degrees Celsius. That'd be like 0 Kelvin. Negative 276 for Kelvin, I think. But it detects if the signal is, if the water in the pipe is below 20 degrees Celsius. And if it is, it'll send it back around on a return loop. Down, around, and in through the farms again. And if it is above, sends it back to the tank, which ends up cooling off the tank a little bit and allowing it to pump more water up to get cooled off again. Alright, what else do we have going on? Got our toilets with sinks as you pass. Actually, improvement project. There we go. Now when they go to the bathroom, they'll be like, oh, what a beautiful statue. Got a couple Wheezeworts in some hot spots around some, like the grill, the microbe musher, outside the farms to prevent leakage this way, in our ice box, which isn't much of an ice box. We've got massage tables. Our duplicants get all freaked out. Well, they can come in here to relax, and then we have our hospital, complete with mess tables and bathroom. So if anybody needs to be quarantined, I can put them there. Oh, what else do we have going on? A couple filters to filter out any dirty water where it shouldn't be. Which I should really relocate this one to before the tank. I'm not sure how I would fit that, but I could do it. I'll get around to that. It's not a priority right now. We have our new tank, which I haven't really hooked up. And I built that tank because this one's full of germs. We need to purify those germs out. And now I'll put the fresh, clean water over here. And somebody had asked whether I need to sanitize the tank itself, and it looks like that is not the case. The germs live in the water, not in the liquids, and don't live on solids. They have to be in the liquid. Tidying? Tidying? No? No tidying? Oxyfern or fried mushrooms? We have plenty of food. I'd like more seeds. We have our storage. Lots of solid storage, because I'm a pack rat. We have our aquatuners, which are charged individually by these. Because I had to use specialized wires and with a maximum of 2 kilowatts. And the aquatuners take 1200 kilowatts, or 1.2 kilowatts each. We have our sand water sieve to purify water, which I may get going here soon because this tank is really full. You just notice there's 25 kilograms of polluted oxygen in a single square, bouncing around with a small amount of chlorine. Let's see, what else do we have? We've got our metal refinery for refining metals when we need to. We have plenty of refined copper, thanks to this copper volcano, which will go dormant in another 25 cycles, so I'm not going to be harvesting any of this stuff anytime soon. Part of that being because it's so hot up here, several hundred degrees Celsius. Since the copper comes out of the volcano at 2,226.9 degrees Celsius. Top of that, I have my all the liquefiable solids, which is like ice, polluted ice, snow. It's in these boxes to help cool down this polluted water in the hopes that it will eventually freeze. So I can help mop up some of it. And we've carved out all of the liquefiable solids in this area. With the exception of a little bit over there that I'm not really concerned about. I don't go over here. In addition to the copper volcano, we have a cool steam vent. Cool is a relative term. It comes out at 110 degrees. Steam. Water steams at 100.
I like this. Can I ask?
Yeah. Go ahead. Where was that?
Is heat the main draw of this game? Or is that the main temperature concern? Do you ever have to deal with things being too cold?
Kind of depends on what map you're on. Usually, it's a heat death, from what I understand. I haven't played a lot recently, so a lot of my information comes from the beta. And I'm learning a few new things, like how to effectively use reservoirs and gas reservoirs, which I haven't used those very much at all. But like your machinery causes heat, and like these thermal regulators. Is it in here? So it cools air down by negative 14 degrees. For a value of so many duplicate thermal units, basically BTUs, British thermal units. But it also, it's moving that heat. And I don't know if the system is perfect. So it's okay, or actually it isn't. You can see right there, it's negative 14 degrees Celsius cooling factor of whatever the gas is. And depending on the density of that gas, that can actually be more or less than this duplicate thermal units, which it gives off in this area. So I cooled off that gas, but now this thermal regulator is hotter, which is how your AC unit works in real life. But it's not perfectly efficient, just like real life. So you end up losing some in the transfer of electricity and application of electricity, and so that wastage is given off as heat, in addition to the heat that you're transferring. So you end up having more heat than you cooled off. And Micro Musher, it's a piece of machinery. It just gives off heat. Same with the electric grill, same with the research stations, same with the metal refinery. Not every piece of machinery gives off heat, I don't think. Like the gas pumps, I think, are effectively neutral. But you have all these heat creators and not many heat deleters. And so you have to use tricks in the mechanics of the game, one of which is over here somewhere. See, the top of that list is the anti-entropy thermo nullifier. It's buried in rock, much like these volcanoes were, and I can't look at the database entry because I haven't uncovered it yet. But it's a special machine. You pump hydrogen into it, and it makes its surroundings super duper cold. So you can delete heat that way, which is one of the intended mechanics. But then you have things like, I think the water sieve still does it, where when you pump in polluted water, it doesn't matter what the temperature is, it spits it out at a very specific, like 40 or 50 degrees Celsius into the water. So if you superheat some polluted water and then purify it, you end up deleting heat. So you come up with kind of some of these crazy mechanics of how to get rid of some of the heat that the game is generating. And then you have things like this carbon dioxide volcano. It spits carbon dioxide out at negative 55 degrees Celsius. So that's a nice cold, well, it's not very cold right now, because it's 50 kilograms of carbon dioxide and it can't actually add anymore, because it's overpressured. And it's taken a lot of the heat from the surroundings. That and CO2 is a terrible heat sink. What's its specific heat? That's not terrible. Not great. So, you can transfer heat by use of some of the geysers that spit it out at very cold. I think that's kind of the status of the base at the moment. I really haven't explored as much as I would like to. Ooh. Okay, didn't break. I was worried for a moment. There's definitely a lot more I can explore. We've got to be getting close to the top. But I haven't really breached into a slime area yet. I haven't felt like dealing with it, and I've wanted to collect as many Weezeworts as I can. And I want to get a ranch going. That's the other type. I haven't been looking for a rancher. Because the ranch, you get some of your unlimited resources you'll get by transferring stuff through creatures. Like these Drekos eat certain kinds of plants, which those are renewable. There, pinch of peppers, balm lilies, and mealwood. And they produce phosphorite. Phosphorite is a fertilizer for several kinds of plant. So you get an endless loop that way. And if you heat up phosphorite or cool it off, like you can do different things with it. Like polluted water, you can literally... What is it? It's just a specific way you get polluted water, you get sand out of it, and then you stick that... Or dirt, maybe. And then you stick that dirt in a very hot environment, and then it cooks off into something else. Like, there's all kinds of crazy material transfer systems in the game, intended and not intended, that you can convert things from one thing to another. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, I want to get a better filter for this. And we have water returning. I'm gonna have to wait. So that water comes all the way back. I can deconstruct a few of these pipes.
Can you also send like water into like super hot rooms and then it kills the germ?
Yeah. It's one of the best ways to sanitize water. You can actually convert, one of the ways to convert polluted water into clean water is literally just superheat it. Turns into steam. And the particulate matter that is in the water, it just disappears. Realistic? No. But it's how the game mechanics work. And all throughout beta, it seemed to me that they encouraged the game to just work slightly different from reality to create fun ways to play. And so, like, that's what I focus on. Where the water comes in this way, and then I just pull it off. Alright. So, I need... The water will come out of here. We have the liquid filter. I don't want that one. Alright, there we go. Or do I want to build it the other way around? It's getting kind of cramped in here. Probably stick the filter inside. Give me a little bit more room to work with. And it wouldn't be too hard to get a return loop. Do something like... Oh, I made it backwards again. goes in the white, out the green. Forget that all the time. It'll come out this way. Then anything that is confirmed as water will come back. And then anything that is something else will come and join the... Oh, that'll combine it with that pipe. That's why that pipe exists. How am I gonna get this over to the dirty tank? Don't mind the mess of pipes. That's perfectly normal. Like I was saying, this is not min-maxed at all. This is... I tend to make organic structures in this game. And so I end up having to rebuild it, and it ends up looking like a Factorio conveyor line. Which also is how I play Factorio. Alright, let's open this up. I failed to do it earlier. And then we're going to need some wires. What is a system that has some capacity left? Jeez, I'm running them all at load. It really only uses that little amount? Oh, there we go. And there's our wire. Oh, really? I should be using the better cables nowadays. Cancel. Because I have a near endless supply of refined copper. Yes, I know. Suit wearing supply. Not interested in those guys. Fungal spores, meh. Curative tablets, always useful. Especially as I'm not making any. And we'll just lock these open for the time being. So it's produced. We want... Did I miss? Oh, there it is. Pure water. Yeah, I shouldn't need that. Finish with this, and then I'll move back to my farms to make more sustainable coolant systems, so I can just leave this switch on. I'm missing one bit. And now we may have ensured that the water is always clean water. Not that it's germ-free. Oh, and I'm melting ice and snow in these. 20 tons of ice in that one, 20 more tons in this one. When that melts, this tank is going to probably overflow. Which means I should pump some into the reservoir. If that'll even contain it for a reasonable amount of time. Everything is finished building. Everything works. Because this is an open tank. Because I have the pitcher pump. For when they need water for various tasks. Rather than a perfectly sealed tank like I do with the fluted water. Although it loses temperature out of the airlocks. Although the water is relatively cold. Oh yeah, the water is really cold because I just recently, the reason it's over full is there was a bunch of polluted ice in this bin. And so when it finally melted, it added and pushed all of the warm water over here. So there's a lot of thermal capacity left over in the polluted water. I think the next task will be adjusting this piping system. I think that will be deconstructing this, and possibly a few more. And what I'm going to want is some temperature sensors inside oh, those lights add heat too. Put it in the far side maybe, or do we want the temperature most instantaneously? Use the right side. So those temperature sensors are going to detect the air temperature here inside the farm. I'm going to use that to determine whether it's going to send water to one or both. For that, I will need some liquid shutoff valves. Probably set up. It's too crowded in here. We have the liquid shutoff valve, and we put it put one here. And bridge up, and then the return. So we'll yeah, I know I'm mumbling up to myself. I'll explain in a little bit. Because it's easier to illustrate it. So we have the upper and lower. And the way I will throw the pipes will be this one that goes here. I'm going to pause just in case I make a mistake. This one will go here. I do have to cancel a couple of them. Because I need a couple of liquid bridges. Bridge that one and that one. So that the return piping can come successfully over to here. There we go. Can I just paint over? Yes. I would like this one to still be insulated, not lose too much temperature on it. That's true for this whole segment. And then this one should be a radiant pipe. And now they'll fix all that. Oh yeah, I need the automation wires. This temperature sensor is going to go this one. This temperature sensor is going to go to this one. And then I need to power them. This system has plenty of power. So does that one. I will come off of wire bridge it there. Conductive wire. And there's our valves. Watching from your phone. Awesome. We'll see how this cooling system works in the end. For mealwood, we don't want it to get below 10 degrees. For bristle blossoms, it's 5. So using that, I want a green signal if above 20, as the high end is 30 on both. If the temperature is above 20, send more cold water. Something like that, Kurt. I wanted to voice over at least the first part to kind of describe what had happened so far. That and this, which is kind of complicated. I reserve the right to mute it at any time. Well, that reservoir packed up quickly. So these are sending green signals. And that water was mostly over 20 degrees. It's not perfect. But it comes around, sees that everything is green, and filters it back in to cool down the farms a little bit more. Because it's above 20 degrees. Why did you go to sleep there? Do you not have a room yet, Rowan? We have 10 duplicates. I forgot all about that. He has ranching and tidying so that he can do anything we want him to. And I haven't decided yet. Ooh, Ellie has advanced as well. Travaldo, the new Travaldo. Mima is good to go now. She's fully trained as far as I'm concerned. I want everyone to have improved carrying for that carrying capacity and strength. Same for the strength. Extra strength is more carrying capacity. I think I'm cooling off the water too much and I broke the aquatuner with it. Yeah, I broke the pipe. I need to put in another sensor for the pipes going into this to make sure that it does not pump in water that's too cold. Pretty much, Kurt. You need to make sure the water's not too cold and that it kicks it out. It's something that I'm going to be doing over here, so it only runs the amount of thermal regulators that it needs to, and then kicks the oxygen out when, or the hydrogen out when it gets too cold. I can even imagine how you said that, X-Fears. You get a new bedroom in the chlorine wing! Congratulations! So true, though. Hey, and every duplicate printed out after this point is pretty much gravy, so do I really need them? Congratulations, you're part of an elite crew known as the Expendables. Oh man, you guys are brutal. that was less than ideal. Who knew they couldn't breathe chlorine? Howdy, layman. Doing a little bit of stream with some sound in the background, but I'm muting it on occasion. Has been theorized to be an attack of feral sheep. A lot of chlorine down now. If you check a little bit earlier in the stream, once it posts, I go over pretty much the entire base and what everything is and what we've accomplished and kind of our immediate goals. that valve should turn on the water sieve to start purifying water, because we are quite almost at capacity. I kind of want to see if it backs up. For science. That's what I'm trying to find out. And it's quite nearly there at almost 1,000 kilograms per square. I think so. But it's been so long. And I have too much stuff. Oxygen's doing well. They don't run all the time. Going back, you can see some days where it was significantly more and significantly less. Kind of balances out. Alright, I need to get it off here. It's been fun. Glad you can join me. Please leave comments. Let me know what you're liking and what you're not, even though I'm kind of doing this for fun on my own. Sharing it with you, and you guys getting a little bit of input into it. Thank you for joining me. You all take care now. Bye.